Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Popcorn. Buy a bag, go home in a box.
Directed by Mark Herrier, alongside Bob Clark, kind of in a Poltergeist, Tobe Hooper, Spielberg kind of way, Popcorn stars Jill Schoelen, Tom Villard, Dee Wallace, and Derek Rydell. This movie is about a group of film students who decide to put on a horror film festival at a local theater. While preparing, they stumble upon a film called The Possessor, which premiered 15 years prior, where the director actually came out on stage and murdered his family for the final act and set that theater ablaze. It just so happens a couple people survived, and now their dark history is coming back to haunt them. So what do we like? First and foremost, it's not really a like, but it's the poster. I think it's the most recognizable poster from like my childhood. And so it's really cool to revisit that film. Like, I don't even think I've seen it before. But to watch it now, like, finally, I found out what this poster's all about.
And you know what? It's true to what is actually advertised on the poster. I'm thankful that they're not clickbaiting us.
Essentially, the killer basically puts on the faces of people and disguises himself very well, actually. And the effects and the editing for when he switches faces is great.
Which brings me to the characters in this film. I absolutely loved every single character. They were fun. Everyone here was like kind of campy in nature. This film was in 91, so it is kind of a throwback, but Toby was hilarious. Mark was clumsy and I didn't see it coming, but I liked that because it was kind of funny seeing his character always getting hit or knocked over or like flying into things. Because he was supposed to be like the protagonist, but he was getting the most beat up.
Yeah, you guys ask it all the time. I liked Cheryl because she was like sassy and she was a hustler. She was trying to get everybody to buy all the goods at the theater.
You don't hit chicks, you swear to God?
I ain't never hit a chick in my life.
That's all I wanted to know.
And then we also had Joni, who was just a smart-ass, like, alternative chick that I thought was really cool. I wish she had a little bit more screen time, to be honest, but, I mean, she was good in what she did.
I felt Bud needed more screen time too.
Why don't we put on a play? We'll convert the old barn into a theater, huh?
I also enjoyed the performance of our lead, Maggie. I thought she did a great job. Everything she did was believable. Overall, I thought she did a really good job and had a strong screen presence.
Without spoiling who the killer actually is, I loved his makeup. He was creepy and weird, and there was genuinely like a general creepy sense about a lot of this movie. While it is campy and funny, and you have a lot of upbeat moments and dope reggae music, there are a lot of chilling moments, and it's weird to say that about such a cheesy flick, but for example, like Dee Wallace going to the theater late at night, like, it was kind of spooky. But going back to the killer for a second, he was really fun. Like, he was creepy at times, but he was also funny at times, and he had a very Jim Carrey feel. He reminded me of like a cross between Fire Marshal Bill and The Mask.
And this film definitely knew who their audience was. It was catering to horror fans. They knew what the culture was behind horror and horror fans, especially by playing the over-the-top campy films that we see in the theater, which were awesome, by the way.
Mosquito, probably my favorite.
I don't know, that Electric Man one was pretty sweet. Bruce Glover, he knew what was up. But just the atmosphere that the theater created, like to be someone in the 90s to experience that would have been so awesome. Like,
I was also a huge fan of the soundtrack, not only from like some of the synthy tones that they had, but like the songs were great. They have a great song during the montage.
And we're gonna have a ball just like we always do.
All of the music and the score was excellent. I absolutely loved it. Now let's move on to our dislikes.
this is actually pretty disappointing considering how well the makeup and practical effects were. You don't get a lot of on-screen kills in this movie. You get the deaths, but a lot of the stuff is not really showcased to their full potential. When you look at the killer, you can see that they had a team that knew what they were doing, and I felt that that was underutilized.
I also think that Dee Wallace was underutilized. She kind of seemed like she was just thrown in there just to have Dee Wallace attached to this project, to be honest. Like, of course, she played the mom as she does in every other movie that she's been in. She was basically just cast aside. Dad jokes coming in hot. We kind of touched on this when we were talking about the characters, but because the characters are so likable, it would have been nice to see more of them. And that could have been done if they like removed the shorts. Like I like the shorts and I liked the characters. It's like you can only have one or the other. And I think that was kind of a problem for me. I mean, I didn't really dislike it, but maybe I want to see like a different cut where the actual shorts aren't shown and we can have like more one-off jokes. I mean, it's not an alternative cut because they probably didn't shoot any extra movie, but damn it, I just wanted to hang out with our characters more. You know what I dislike? I dislike that we don't have these theater-going experiences anymore.
I would agree to that. I think that would be an absolute fun time. Like, unless you're going in there and you're stuck behind the guy with the big head.
I would just totally smack that shit off his head. But they were throwing popcorn, having fun, but like not in a mean way. Nobody was aggressive. Everyone's just having a fun time. Except for that one guy who straight up just jacked dude's girlfriend and then punched him in the face. That was kind of gangster. I hope that wouldn't happen these days. I think everybody would just be looking at their phones the entire time and Snapchatting each other. Oh, fuck. Maybe I don't want this to happen.
Again, going back to Maggie's character, I'm not knocking her acting ability at all. She was probably the weakest developed character as someone who is your protagonist because I didn't understand what she cared more about because she kept flip-flopping.
Be just lurking somewhere in this theater, just waiting to attack us.
Sounds a little paranoid.
This is great. God, Toby, what a great movie this would make. We gotta find this guy.
And when you're developing a strong cast around her, it makes her come off weaker than everyone else.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Popcorn is an extremely good movie. I really had a fun time watching this. It's campy, it's cheesy, it's got some great one-liners, excellent characters, but it's also a little bit creepy at times. We had a really cool killer, and I loved his makeup. He looked really cool, and the concept and the idea behind it was excellent. My only issues aren't really big issues. It's more that I wanted to see more of the characters and maybe a touch more gore because it would have been nice to see some like special effects considering they had masks and molds of all of these characters' heads. Come on, just splatter one for me. This is a movie I would totally recommend, so I'm gonna give this 4 shot clocks out of 5.
Popcorn is definitely a fun time. It was made for fans of horror, and they did it not in the sense of we're gonna give you a lot of gore and kills, we're just gonna have a fun time, and it was a horror comedy. But with that being said, I also kind of wish that we got to see more of the gore because they were catering to horror fans, and that's kind of what we like. I thought all the characters were great, and this had a really strong story, and when the reveal of the killer actually happens, it's genuinely gonna catch you off guard, because it caught us off guard. Didn't see it coming, and that's a hard feat to do these days. This is something I would definitely recommend. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4 eccentrically saying the wrong name out of 5.
Hello, Tony. I'm Toby.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't, there's an excellent new release from Synopsis, which has an hour-long documentary that is so worth the purchase. Links are in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.